What if the secrets of one of history's greatest empires were hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? What if a collection of documents, lost for centuries, could rewrite our understanding of how ancient rulers consolidated power, governed vast territories, and ultimately fell from grace? This is not the plot of a fictional adventure, it is the extraordinary story of the Hittite Empire's lost royal archives, and their rediscovery that transformed our understanding of the ancient world. In the spring of 1906, archaeologist Hugo Winkler stood amid the dusty ruins of Hattusa, the ancient capital of the Hittite Empire in what is now central Turkey. The German expedition he led had been excavating the site for several years, but what they uncovered on that particular day would fundamentally alter our understanding of ancient Near Eastern history. These are not mere pottery fragments, Winkler reportedly told his colleague Daniel Eriksson as they carefully extracted clay tablets from the soil. These are the voices of kings and diplomats, preserved for 3,000 years. What Winkler and Eriksson had discovered were the royal archives of the Hittite Empire, containing over 10,000 cuneiform tablets dating from approximately 1650 to 1180 BCE. This vast administrative record had remained buried since the city's destruction around 1180 BCE, preserving in remarkable detail the inner workings of one of antiquity's most powerful but least understood empires. The Hittite Empire, at its height from approximately 1600 to 1180 BCE, dominated much of what is now Turkey, Syria, and parts of Iraq and Lebanon. Their military innovations, political organization, and diplomatic achievements rivaled those of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Yet until Winkler's discovery, the Hittites were little more than a footnote in history, mentioned briefly in the Bible and Egyptian records but otherwise lost to time. The tablets recovered from Hattusa revolutionized our understanding of this lost empire. Written primarily in Hittite cuneiform, but also in Akkadian, Hurrian, and several other languages, they revealed a sophisticated multicultural society with complex administrative systems, international diplomatic protocols, and military strategies that would influence generations of later empires. Among the most significant discoveries was the Treaty of Kadesh, signed in 1258 BCE between Hittite king Hattusili III and Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II. This document, the oldest known peace treaty in human history, ended years of conflict between these superpowers and established diplomatic relations that would last generations. Remarkably, a copy of this treaty still hangs in the United Nations headquarters in New York as a symbol of diplomacy's ancient roots. The royal correspondence revealed how Hittite kings maintained power through a combination of military strength, religious authority, and bureaucratic efficiency. Unlike some contemporary monarchies that claim divine status, Hittite kings positioned themselves as first among equals, chief priests and military commanders who ruled through a council of nobles. This system created a form of constitutional monarchy that balanced royal authority with aristocratic input, a governance innovation that would be repeatedly rediscovered by later civilizations. Archaeologist Amelia Davenport, who has studied the Hittite tablets extensively, explains, what makes these documents so extraordinary is how they reveal the pragmatic nature of Hittite rule. These were not despots ruling by fear alone. They maintained sophisticated systems of taxation, military recruitment, religious observation, and diplomatic relations that required cooperation from local elites across their vast territory. The military archives prove particularly revealing about Hittite power. The empire's armies were among the first to master iron weaponry and chariot warfare on a large scale. Detailed battle plans, equipment inventories, and training manuals demonstrate how the Hittites innovated tactically to overcome numerically superior opponents. Their three-man chariot teams, a driver, shield-bearer, and spearman, represented a significant advancement over the two-man Egyptian chariots, providing greater offensive capability while maintaining defensive strength. The Hittite military system established principles of combined arms tactics that would be rediscovered by commanders from Alexander the Great to Napoleon, explains military historian David Evans. Their ability to integrate infantry, chariot forces, and specialized units into coordinated battlefield operations was revolutionary for its time. Perhaps most fascinating is how the tablets document the empire's eventual collapse. Around 1180 BCE, Hattusa was abandoned and burned during the Bronze Age collapse, a mysterious period when numerous Mediterranean civilizations fell almost simultaneously. Climate records embedded in the administrative documents reveal increasing drought conditions in the decades preceding the collapse, with evidence of grain shortages, population movements, and declining tax revenues. The final tablets from the royal archives paint a picture of a government desperately trying to manage multiple crises: climate change, food shortages, mass migration, and military threats from multiple directions. A letter from the last known Hittite king, Suppiluliuma II, appeals to foreign allies for grain shipments to prevent the starvation of our people, while military dispatches report sea peoples raiding coastal settlements and disruptions to critical trade routes. This complex picture of imperial collapse offers striking parallels to modern concerns about climate change, migration crises, and resource scarcity. The Hittite example demonstrates how even the most sophisticated political and military systems can be overwhelmed when multiple systemic pressures occur simultaneously. The translation and interpretation of these documents has been painstaking work spanning over a century. Many tablets were fragmentary, and the Hittite language itself had to be reconstructed through comparative linguistics. Each generation of scholars has brought new analytical tools to the archive, revealing additional layers of meaning. In 2019, digital imaging techniques allowed researchers to read previously illegible tablets, revealing new information about Hittite diplomatic protocols. These documents showed how the empire maintained peace with neighbors through a sophisticated system of royal marriages, treaty obligations, and economic incentives, what we might today call soft power complementing military strength. The discovery also illuminated the role of royal women in Hittite politics. Queen Puduhipa, wife of Hattusili III, r. 1267–1237 BCE, emerges from the documents as a powerful diplomatic force, corresponding directly with foreign rulers and negotiating treaties. Her seal appears alongside her husband's on the Egyptian peace treaty, indicating her status as a co-ruler rather than merely a consort. Queen Puduhipa established a template for female political leadership that was remarkably progressive for its time, notes political scientist Amelia Davidson. Her diplomatic correspondence shows she was addressing other rulers as equals, not merely as the king's wife. What makes the Hittite archives particularly valuable is their authenticity as primary sources. Unlike historical accounts written centuries after events, these documents were created contemporaneously by the actual participants. They capture the day-to-day reality of governing an empire, from the mundane accounting of grain deliveries to the high strategy of international diplomacy. The archives reveal the Hittites as pragmatic problem solvers who built their empire not through conquest alone, but through sophisticated systems of governance. Their legal codes, while maintaining severe punishments for serious crimes, were notably less harsh than those of their contemporaries. Property rights extended to women, slaves could purchase their freedom, and local customs were often preserved when new territories were incorporated into the empire. The Hittites understood what many successful empires throughout history have recognized, explains governance expert Daniel Everett. Long-term stability comes not from imposing uniformity but from creating systems flexible enough to accommodate diversity while maintaining core standards and loyalties. This administrative flexibility extended to religion as well. The tablets document how the Hittites incorporated the deities of conquered peoples into their own pantheon rather than suppressing local worship. This thousand gods approach helped legitimize Hittite rule among diverse populations and prevented religious-based rebellions that plagued other ancient empires. Perhaps the most profound lesson from the Hittite archives concerns the fragility of civilization itself. For all their military might, diplomatic skill, and administrative sophistication, the Hittites could not overcome the perfect storm of climate change, resource scarcity, population movements, and external attacks that overwhelmed them around 1180 BCE. The final decades of tablets document increasingly desperate measures: grain reserves depleted, defensive walls hastily strengthened, pleas for assistance from allies, and religious ceremonies performed with unprecedented frequency, signs of a society trying every available tool to stave off collapse. When archaeologists excavated the royal archives, they found evidence that someone had attempted to preserve the knowledge contained within. Many tablets were carefully placed in specific rooms, organized by subject matter, suggesting an intentional effort to protect this information even as the capital was being abandoned. It was as if they knew their world was ending but hoped their knowledge might survive, says archaeologist Amelia Davenport. And in a way, they succeeded. 3,000 years later, we are still learning from their experience. The parallels to our modern world are difficult to ignore. Like the Hittites, we face interconnected challenges of climate change, resource management, migration pressures, and geopolitical competition. The archives remind us that sophisticated civilizations have faced existential threats before, and that even the most advanced systems have breaking points. Yet the Hittite example offers hope as well. Their governance innovations, from constitutional monarchy to diplomatic protocols to religious tolerance, demonstrate humanity's capacity to develop sophisticated solutions to complex problems. Many of their innovations were independently rediscovered by later civilizations, suggesting certain principles of effective governance are universal. The discovery of the Hittite archives remains one of archaeology's greatest achievements, rescuing an entire civilization from historical oblivion. Before Winkler's excavations, the Hittites were primarily known from brief mentions in Egyptian records and biblical passages. The tablets restored their voice, allowing them to tell their own story. Today, as new imaging and analytical techniques continue to reveal additional information from the tablets, the Hittite archives remind us that history is not static but constantly evolving with new discoveries. They demonstrate how a single archaeological find can transform our understanding of the past and provide valuable lessons for the present. The story of the Hittites offers timeless insights about leadership, governance, and resilience. Their pragmatic approach to ruling diverse populations, their balance of central authority with local autonomy, and their integration of military power with diplomatic finesse created an empire that lasted centuries. When they finally fell, it was not due to any single failure but to multiple systemic pressures that overwhelmed even their sophisticated adaptive capacity. As we face our own complex global challenges, the voices preserved in those ancient clay tablets speak to us across millennia, offering both warning and wisdom. The discovery of the Hittite archives reminds us that understanding history is not merely an academic exercise but a practical necessity for those who wish to create societies that endure. In the words attributed to the last Hittite king on one fragmentary tablet, remember what we built, learn from where we failed, and may your wisdom exceed our own. 3,000 years later, we would be wise to heed this advice.